All right, everybody, Matt here, and I'm live inside the whiskey shed behind my house, and this is my first YouTube live. So this blog and this website is really set up to talk about more personal ideas of whiskey and more about conversation and share things that are sort of outside the realm of what I do professionally. So, which obviously involves whiskey and alcohol to a great extent, but this is more just a private place, but also a place to share some thoughts. So, today being the first live video that I've done so far. First of all, it's New Year's Eve, and I'm wearing shorts and a short sleeve shirt because it's like 60 degrees outside. It's been pouring rain all day long, and it's starting to clear up a little bit right now, but it's still 60 degrees at the end of December, which is great. So I'm going to just enjoy that, and I'm going to enjoy some whiskey. So let's kick it off. So a lot of times people ask me what whiskeys are like. What's my favorite whiskey if I had to pick one whiskey? And I'm going to address that in a later post. But today I just want to talk about what was really my first sort of seminal whiskey experience where I just tasted something that I'd never had before that I really enjoyed. And so for me, that was in college, and I was 21 or barely just 21. And one of my friends, or a couple of my friends, worked at a nice downtown restaurant in Fort Worth, Texas. I went to TCU for college. So, anyway, and they were waiters there, and one of them would bartend sometimes. And so, like, right when they were getting off work on a Friday or a Saturday, sometimes a few of us would go down there and chat them up and sit there at the bar and have a drink. And sometimes the drink that fell into the glass would be probably a higher quality of something than what we actually paid for. Anyway, long story short, I remember very vividly to this day the very first whiskey that I tasted where the light bulb kind of just turned on for me, something that was really delicious, was right here. Johnnie Walker Gold, the 18-year-old Johnnie Walker. So I'm going to pop this cork and I'm going to pour one. Okay, so what I remember about it was how drinkable it was, first of all. So I probably had 80 proof hard alcohol before, but didn't necessarily remember it that well. I don't really remember the aroma because obviously this was like a rocks glass at a bar, so you can't really smell it that well. But this is just, a light touch of honey. Obviously, this is a Diageo blended whiskey. So you're going to get a little bit of biscuit, a little bit of honey. Certainly you get some of that malt. I picked up a lot of sweetness and vanilla character, which I think is one of the reasons why this is so drinkable, why it was so drinkable to me when I was that age. Okay. Let's taste it. There is just like a smallest, tiniest hint of smoke right before it turns just all honeycomb, malt biscuit, and it's just so soft and gentle on the palate. And I remember that softness. I remember how I really enjoyed the sweetness of the malt itself. And there it is. I mean, the same or relatively close to the same flavor that I tasted 17 years ago. It's still there, and it's still really enjoyable. So take a few more sips here. So thank you to my friend in college who worked at that restaurant and served me that drink. You know, it wasn't until 7, 8, 9, 10 years later that I actually got into the beverage alcohol business. But I can still go back and pinpoint that exact moment where I tasted something. And I think you'll hear wine drinkers say that, you know, that they tasted a bottle of wine that tasted so incredible, like a light bulb went on, and that's how they really got into wine. For me, with whiskey, it was this Johnnie Walker. It was this Johnnie Walker Gold. It was so good. So it's New Year's Eve, 2018. It's been a fantastic year. Another year starting, trying to sort of finalize my goals, doing this website and doing some more personal stories about whiskey and having some more people out here is obviously one of my goals for 2019. You know, this is a strange holiday for people who actually work in the alcohol beverage business because there's a lot of myths around drinking, and I even hear them in meetings from suppliers and other folks saying, oh, this is low carb or no carb and there's no hangover. Myths, especially around like vodka, where they'll be advertising it in a certain way. The fact is, if it's got alcohol, it's got calories. If it's got alcohol, it's got alcohol, whether it's 5 ounces of wine, 12 ounces of beer, 1.5 ounces of liquor. I feel like there's still a basic misunderstanding by people about that fact. So I think, you know, when it comes to holidays like this, where there's a lot of drinking involved, you just want to remember that there's really no getting around that. It just is what it is. Speaking of that, so good. And that is the story of the first whiskey that I ever really tasted. Johnnie Walker Gold 18, a pretty good one to start with. I think it still stands up today as a fantastic whiskey, and looking forward to trying many more in 2019 inside the shed. Cheers.